Question is this bill will be now read a second time. I'll call the member for Menzies.
Thank you, Mr Acting Deputy Speaker. I rise to speak on the Social Security and Other Legislation Amendment Disability Support Pension Participation Reforms Bill 2012. This bill implements two participation reforms to the disability support pension as outlined in the 2011-12 budget. The changes include amendments relating to overseas travel for Australians with a severe disability. The bill incorporates a range of measures. First, work rule for disability support pension. This measure allows all recipients of the disability support pension to work for a total of 30 hours per week without jeopardising their pension payment. The measure essentially extends the 30-hour rule to those participants who were granted disability support pensions since the introduction of the welfare to work changes, that is, on or after the 11th of May 2005, who currently have their pension suspended or cancelled once they work more than 15 hours a week. This is an important change which is designed to encourage DSP recipients to re-enter or engage in a greater way in the workforce. For too long, the DSP has been viewed as a destination payment. This measure will go some way to encouraging greater productivity from those who can contribute without penalising their payment. Secondly, participation requirements for disability support pension. This measure also relates to boosting productivity, mandating new requirements for certain disability support pensioners under the age of 35 who have a work capacity of at least 8 hours a week. These recipients will now have to engage with Centrelink through a participation interview and the development of a participation plan to assist them developing their work capacity. Thirdly, portability of disability support pension. The issue of portability of the disability support pension was first raised by my colleague in the other place, Senator Fifield, who aired the Coalition's concern after a diplomat was unable to accept an overseas posting without jeopardising the DSP of their dependent. This measure addresses some of these concerns. Principally, this set of amendments would provide for some more generous rules for disability support pensioners who have a severe impairment that is likely to continue for at least 5 years and therefore result in the recipient having no future work capacity, allowing them to continue to receive their pension payments in the event that they travel outside Australia for 13 weeks or more. Fourthly, average weekly earnings and other amendments. A range of other amendments are promulgated by this bill. These include changing references in the child support legislation to average weekly earnings data derived from an Australian Bureau of Statistics publication due to a change in the frequency of that publication, as well as some other minor amendments and corrections. Pension ages. Currently, the pension loan scheme debt recovery provisions stipulate in Division 4 of Part 3.12 of the Social Security Act provide that in certain circumstances a debt that is owed to the Commonwealth is not recoverable. Subparagraph 11392B Roman 4 of the Social Security Act provides that one of the exceptions to the Commonwealth being entitled to recover a debt until after the person's death is that the person's partner has reached pension age. Subparagraphs 11392B Roman 4A and B refer to pension age for women as 60 years and 65 for a man. These ages are incorrect. The amendments will remove these incorrect references. Indeed, the changes will mean the Commonwealth will not be entitled to recover a Section 1135 debt until the conditions of subsection 11392 are fully met. Amendments to the Veterans Entitlement Act. This bill also seeks to align the revisions of the Veterans Entitlement Act 1986 that are used to calculate the minimum instalment payment for a service pensioner in receipt of either or both pension supplement and the Clean Energy Supplement, with corresponding provisions promulgated under the Social Security Act. Let me turn then, Mr Acting Deputy Speaker, to disability reform. The approach of this government on disability support has been disingenuous. They talk about a national disability insurance scheme, a scheme which I reiterate has bipartisan support, yet they are yet to fund the scheme, and they are even yet to identify how they're going to fund the scheme. What they have done is to announce it and re-announce it. In fact, all the government has announced that they will, and I quote, lay foundations, unquote, for such a scheme. They've announced that they will support such a scheme. But let's turn our mind to the timeline of announcements. First, on the 10th of August 2011, Labor announced that they would work immediately with the states and territories on measures that will build the foundations of a national disability insurance scheme. On the 7th of October 2011, the government tried to re-announce the establishment of the foundations, establishing an NDIS advisory group. Then a week or so later, on the 20th of October 2011, Labor re-announced the setting of the foundations for the NDIS, this time adding that they would lay such foundations in mid-2013. A couple of months later, on the 3rd of December 2011, Labor re-announced the need to lay foundations for the NDIS, this time announcing a new agency would be created to lead the design of the launch of the NDIS. And 3 days later, on the 6th of December 2011, Labor announced the government's progress to lay the foundations for the NDIS. And then 6 days later, on the 12th of December 2011, the Prime Minister said that she was appointing Minister Macklin as the Minister for Disability Reform. Labor decided to play catch-up in this regard with the coalition on the front, recognising that we've had a Shadow Minister for Disabilities in the Coalition Shadow Ministry since the 2010 election. And then on the 19th of December 2011, Labor announced that it would work with the South Australian Government on measures to get the state ready for an NDIS, despite having already announced that the Commonwealth would work closely with all state governments. So my challenge to the Labor government is very simple here and now, and is to tell us how you're going to fund this important scheme. Identify how you'll fund it. If you're serious about the National Disability Insurance Scheme, don't be disingenuous by re-announcing and re-announcing and re-announcing your support for laying the foundations. Give us real detail. The Australians, particularly those with a disability and their families and supporters, those caring for the loved ones with a disability, deserve to know the real facts. That is, how is it going to be funded and some timetable for that funding. Labor's promised big things on this front. It's time they actually told us how they are going to deliver.